largest wealth transfer is about to happen. The next largest transfer of wealth will occur between generations. It is expected that baby boomer children would get an inheritance worth several trillions of dollars from their parents, almost $70 trillion. That's only a little more than half of the money America's invested wealth. Additionally, it is owned by around 70 million individuals who make up the baby boomer generation. What is this wealth transfer that everyone is raving about? Hi, I hope you enjoyed my previous video and are happy to be back. Welcome back. Or if you're just joining us, we are Finance Bureau, your one-stop destination where we talk about anything related to cryptocurrency and personal finance. I'm glad you could make it. In this video, we will talk about the largest wealth transfer in history that is about to take place in this period of time. If you want to know more about it, stay tuned at the end of this video to know some important steps you may take to get yourself ready for the great wealth transfer and improve your current financial situation. But before we dive right in, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Let's get into it, shall we? The baby boomer generation will hand over trillions in private wealth to Gen X and millennials by the year 2045. The baby boomer generation consists of people who were born between 1946 and 1964. Over the next 2 decades, the baby boomers, now adult children, members of Generation X, who were born between 1965 and 1980, and members of the millennial generation will inherit up to a staggering $68 trillion from their parents, those born between 1981 to 1996. To put it another way, we have now formally entered the era with the greatest transfer of wealth in human history. What is it? But before we delve into the effects that this largest wealth transfer will have on the economy of the world as we know it, we first need to understand exactly how this phenomenon came to be in the first place. This will allow us to then move on to the impacts that this great wealth transfer will have on the world's economy as we know it. The realities of working and living that the baby boom generation had in the years after World War II were ones of great prosperity. Their parents had already made a lot of sacrifices for them during the war years in order to provide them with a better quality of life, and their parents had compensated all of the necessary taxes to maintain university tuition low. As a result, when boomers were young adults entering the workforce for the first time, they were able to graduate with very little or no debt at all. At the same time, there was an abundance of housing after the war, and strong labor laws meant that even high school graduates were able to afford to purchase their first houses on an income equal to or less than the minimum hourly rate. The value of these properties then proceeded to rise over the course of time, and the boomers enjoyed many decades of sustained economic expansion as a result, to the point that it is estimated that by the year 2020, members of the baby boomer generation would control around 57% of all wealth and assets in the economy of the United States. In contrast, millennials were only responsible for controlling 3% of the total wealth in the nation. If this younger generation quickly jumps from controlling a measly 3% to about 60% of the world's overall wealth in the coming years, this obviously demonstrates just how significantly the largest wealth transfer will affect millennials in the next 10 to 20 years or so. One might ask, what does it imply for the rest of the world now that the $68 trillion is beginning to shift hands? Differences in perspectives. It is quite evident that attitudes on inherited wealth will have shifted, as seen by Bill Gates' declaration that he would donate almost all of his riches, and Patagonia creator Yvon Chouinard's recent decision to devote his whole firm to the cause of combating climate change. These high-profile commitments are occurring as part of the biggest generational wealth transfer in the history of the world. However, there has never been a time when individuals of different generations had so such different perspectives on wealth. During the decades that followed World War II, investors had established formulas for the building of wealth that led them through the ups and downs of the market. The rule of thumb for investing that recommends allocating 60% of your portfolio to equities and 40% to fixed income helped baby boomers establish healthy nest eggs. In contrast to this tried and true investing strategy that has been around for generations, cryptocurrencies have the look of an arcade token that may be traded in on random victories. According to the findings of a new research conducted by Bank of America on rich young investors, younger people have a unique perspective on the world. Moreover, according to the survey conducted by Bank of America, 75% of investors between the ages of 21 and 42 are searching beyond stocks and bonds for investment opportunities. It was discovered that 47% of people already hold cryptocurrency. Additionally, younger investors are 7.5 times more likely to buy cryptocurrency than older investors. To a greater extent than their parents did, younger investors are embracing more of cryptocurrency. They allocated 15% of their money to cryptocurrencies, while allocating 25% of their investments to stocks on average. On the other hand, their parents favored having 55% of their wealth invested in stocks and 2% in digital assets. Additionally, younger investors do not seem to be bothered by the feigned volatility that is associated with the class. This indicates that they will most likely ride out the volatility rather than completely abandon cryptocurrencies. The report follows closely on the heels of a previous analysis from Bankrate that showed a decrease in interest in cryptocurrencies after the loss of roughly $2 trillion this year in digital assets. In the study that was conducted in September, just 21% of investors say they were comfortable with the risky asset. 34% of members of Gen Z, who were born between 1997 and 2012, right in the heart of the digital era, said that they were extremely familiar with cryptocurrency. Gen Z members were born between 1997 and 2012. Only 11% of baby boomers have adopted cryptocurrency, which places them well behind Gen X, or those born between 1965 and 1980, and millennials, those born between 1980 and 1996, who fall somewhere in the middle of the demographic spectrum. A rising number of younger people are investing their money in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum as a way to both develop their wealth and protect it. This is due to a number of different factors. The first truth to acknowledge is that in most aspects of life, younger individuals are in a better position to take more risks than their more seasoned counterparts. If you still have more than 30 years before you retire, investing in Bitcoin as a retirement plan may not be such a horrible idea. The second thing you need to know about millennials is that they have seen conventional, solid asset classes like real estate fall apart throughout each of the economic crises that they have lived through. Because of this, a very high and profound level of distrust was generated in the existing monetary institutions. Anything that millennials perceive to be a deviation from the norm or business as usual is highly appealing to this generation. They are able to get this via the use of cryptocurrencies. The financial and political principles provided by cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin connect with younger people on a far deeper level than they do with older people. Therefore, you shouldn't be shocked if a significant number of young people decide to invest their inheritance in cryptocurrencies. Even if the cryptocurrency winter is persisting, there is a renewed interest in cryptocurrencies. Even more traditional financial institutions are beginning to provide services for virtual currencies. This month, the Bank of New York Mellon, or BK, made the announcement that it would store the Bitcoin and Ethereum that its clients have in their accounts. Are you learning so far? Keep tuning in to know some key considerations for the great wealth transfer, and ultimately how you may improve your financial situation, regardless of whether or not you are expected to receive an inheritance as part of the historic wealth transfer. This is particularly important to ready families for such drastic transfer. Family financial conversations are crucial, now more than ever. First is life expectancy. In spite of the fact that the COVID-19 pandemic pushed down average life expectancies in the United States, individuals have been living longer, and the fact that they do will impact how your estate plan is structured. You may need your money for a longer period of time than you expect, though Those who are already 70 years old have a better chance of living to be 90 years old. After then, you should take into consideration the possibility that your children and grandchildren may live for even longer. Second thing you should consider is the family legacy. Experts believe the first challenge is getting everyone in the family together to talk about their histories. Palisade Capital Management's president and CEO, Alison Berman, remarked, "A lot of rich parents don't show their kids what's there." Palisade Capital Management came in at number 56 on the Financial Times annual FA 100 list. Keller emphasized the need of preparing the next generation to responsibly manage the money it will soon inherit. Parents are used to planning for the future, 20 or 30 or 40 years out, while their children have just a year. As a first step, we attempt to get people thinking about what it means to be well off in this nation, he said. When discussing family dynamics, often not enough time is spent on the emotional side of these family dynamics as opposed to simply the statistics. According to Merzberger, financial literacy is a big aspect of this wealth transfer. You must be provided with access to continuing education opportunities. The next thing is charitable intent. Children and grandkids may have different priorities than their parents and grandparents, and they may also communicate and use technology differently than their elders. There is far greater activism among the younger generation. They are concerned about global warming, social inequality, and supporting ethical businesses. It is also observed that when it comes to investing, individuals prefer to focus on general patterns rather than specific companies. They want to be a catalyst for change using the means they possess. The creation of a charitable remainder trust or charitable lead trust, for example, may enable you to give to the causes you care about while giving your heirs a tax relief. Lastly, tax implications. According to Will Williams, president and CEO of David Vaughan Investments, which is ranked number 40 on the FA 100's list, any money that will be handed down must be subject to appropriate estate and tax planning, utilizing instruments like trusts and yearly exclusion or lifetime exemption gifts. The idea is to minimize the tax burden that will be passed on to the next generation. For the time being, taxpayers are able to make lifetime gifts of up to $12.6 million free of a 40% levy. This sum exceeds the annual gift tax exclusion, which permits you to give an unlimited amount of money to any recipient each year without paying taxes. In 2022, this maximum is $16,000. Those who are reluctant to make outright gifts could consider transferring assets into an irrevocable trust. For example, a grantor-retained annuity trust, or a GRAT, may be set up to provide a parent tax-free monthly payments for a certain number of years before the assets are distributed to the parent's children or grandchildren. Some of the wealthiest persons in the country are examples of people who have used this approach to get where they are. Before we wrap up this video, we want to remind everyone who is watching that it is far more important to have a thorough knowledge of the investing options that are accessible to you right now than it will be later. It is important to begin developing strategies for incorporating the largest wealth transfer into your plans right now. The essential point here is that a significant amount of money will change hands in the next few years. While not everyone will get an inheritance, there is no disputing that the great wealth transfer will have a far-reaching influence. The only issue that remains is how you want to increase your wealth. Thank you so much for watching. Leave us a comment if you enjoyed or learned something from this video. As usual, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos on finances and crypto like this one. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.